Hello and welcome to Year 11's first Raising Achievements evening. I hope you are all safe and well, and I'm so sorry that we could not invite you into Lambeth Academy like we usually would, but we just wanted to ensure that everybody is safe and sound. Now, you're going to hear some really important information regarding what's going on in the school and how you guys at home can help your students achieve the grades that they deserve. Thank you. Firstly, I really would like to say thank you to an outstanding year group. Ever since taking over as your head of year in year 9, I have been forever grateful for your dedication towards achieving your academic goals. And you, as a year group, are a really big part of the reason why the Lambeth Academy culture has changed. You have returned from the school's closure with such a hunger to succeed despite the current circumstances. You're diligent, you're very hardworking, and you're very, very ambitious to achieve the grades you need to get to hopefully be eligible to our sixth form and many other sixth forms around the country and hopefully end up in university. So I'd like to thank my year group for that first and foremost.
Hello all, my name is Theo Wang and my job role is the Assistant Principal responsible for raising standards across all of Key Stage 4, so that's years 10 and 11. I want to speak to you briefly about a few things we're doing here to ensure your child has the best possible chance of success at the end of this year. Firstly, I want to explain to you the magnitude of the task we have ahead. Your child missed at least 75 school days because of the pandemic. This does not include the summer holidays. This equates to roughly 450 lessons or 1,890 hours of learning. And I know many of them work from home, but the UCL recently released figures that indicated many children did less than an hour of work a day. And the issue is that there were children working at home, just as hard as if they'd been in school. These children are in line to get the top grades this year, the 9s. If you're unaware of the grading system, it's changed. We now use numbers, 1 being the lowest and 9 being the highest. The difference is only a certain percentage can now achieve the grades. So whereas before an unlimited amount could achieve an A or an A star, now only the top 20% of grade A's will get a 9. This is about 4%. And that's the same with all of the other grades. Only a certain percent can achieve each of them. This is why it's so important your child is here every day working as hard as possible. So there's two interventions I'd like to briefly speak to you about. Firstly is tutor time and masterclass. Recently we had our regional director come to visit the school and he was taken back by this. He commented on how we have the hardest working year 11s in the entirety of United Learning. A typical day for your children begins at 8:15, where they arrive to school and then go to a lineup. Afterwards they go up to tutor time, which is a 45-minute English or maths session. This is then followed by 6 50-minute lessons and then a masterclass session. These morning tutor sessions are targeted to students we know need more support. So if we decide a child is struggling in maths, then we move them over to the maths tutor group. Masterclass is something that happens from 3:30 to 4:30. You've probably heard your child speak about this. This is an additional intervention our Year 11 teaching staff are prepared to do. Each day of the week is a different subject, so by the end of the week, your child would have received one intervention in every single one of their subjects. This combined with the morning tuition adds up to an additional 12.4 hours a week. That is what we hope will be the difference between us and other schools. We also have an optional Champions Hour, which essentially is a homework club for students, which is regularly attended. This happens from 4:30 to 5:30. Please encourage your children to attend. Both of these interventions are making a huge difference in catching up the work that students missed from the lockdown. The next and last intervention I'd like to briefly talk to you about is the colour groups. This is about to be launched. It's one of our trademark interventions that has since been copied by several schools within the Trust. Each time predictive data is submitted by teachers, we categorise and sort the students into different intervention groups depending on their needs. These are all given a colour. There are 10 colours, which means the groups are very specific and really enable the students and you guys to know what you need to do. An example of a group is the blue one. This tells us that the student has been predicted to achieve a grade 5 or higher in English and Maths, along with 3 other subjects. However, they are still below their targets. The power of these groups is it considers each of the child's targets and therefore doesn't allow anyone to settle for the bare minimum. Soon on the school website we're going to be having a video explaining what each of the colour groups mean so you can watch them. And over the half term we're going to be coming up with the colour groups and then sending them out to you in the first week back in a report so you know what colour group your child is in and what you can do to best support them. And finally from me, some key dates you need to know. Mock examinations are coming up and they're practice for the real thing. Your child's mock examinations this year could prove to be very important in the current climate, and we want you to treat them as if they were the real thing. Please support us by ensuring they revise over the half term and whenever they're at home. The first round of mocks is after half term, and these will test students in every single one of their subjects. We plan to really push revision in school and have a company even coming in to train our students on the best ways to revise. Thank you for your support, and back over to Mr. Rowe. Bye.
As you all know, attendance is the single most important factor when it comes to your child's progress. So, if you do not send your child into school, they are falling further behind their classmates, they are falling further behind their year group, and more importantly, they are falling further behind everybody in the country. So please do, even when your students have a cold or an upset stomach, please do send them into school. We will ensure that they are in a safe and comfortable environment, however, they are still able to learn. If we feel that students would really benefit from being sent home and working from home, then we will 100% make that decision. After half term, you will receive your students' grades and their attendance for the first time. Please think about the grades that they could receive if they are in school every single day for the rest of the academic year. Over the half term, we will be setting meaningful homework to all students for every single subject that they do. So please ensure that you wake your children up early and that you get them to revise and to complete the homework each day for the remainder of the week. It's so important that this does happen because when they come back, they will be tackling their first mock exams. Now, if a student has missed one piece of homework, we will be asking them to come in for a compulsory Saturday to complete the homework that they have missed. As you can see, the homework really does make a difference. So we are asking for your support over the half term when it comes to completing the homework. Thank you very much. I think it will be helpful if I gave you an example of how important homework, attitude and attendance actually really is. Now, as you can see, we have two students. Now, these two students both came into year 7 with exactly the same grades, and by year 11 their grades were pretty similar. However, as you can see, student A had a poor attitude towards school, his attendance was poor, and his dedication to his homework wasn't poor, and unfortunately this resulted in him achieving poor grades at the end of year 11. Now, these grades that you can see before you won't be good enough to get you into our sixth form. And you guessed it, student B done exactly the opposite. Now, you need to remember that they both came into the academy with fairly similar grades in year 7 and had fairly similar grades in year 10 also. However, in year 11, student B, he made sure that he came to school every single day and was on time, had a fantastic attitude in lesson, and he showed great dedication towards his homework. This resulted in them achieving fantastic grades, which got them into not only our sixth form, but any other sixth form or college up and down the country. Now, this is where you at home step in. I need from you to ensure that these 3 basic principles are followed when they're at home. They need to be organised, they need to be disciplined, and they need to be revising. In order to help with the organisation of our students, we've decided in year 11 to order revision guides and revision booklets for every single student in the year group for every single subject that they study. So, what we're asking students to do when they're at home or in their off time or spare time, that they go online and they download past papers, and they're constantly doing past papers alongside the revision using the revision tools which we will provide for them. Second on the list, And in my opinion, the most important is discipline. Now, what do I mean by discipline? By discipline, I mean, are our students going to sleep at a decent hour? Are our students up till all hours of the night playing video games? Are they eating very unhealthy foods? And are they spending an unhealthy amount of time on their mobile phones? If the answer is yes, then I'm seriously suggesting what we at Lambeth Academy like to call a digital detox. Now, a digital detox is a new voluntary tactic that we are using at Lambeth Academy to reduce the hours and hours that our students spend on their mobile phones. They can hand their mobile phones in on Monday and get them back on the Friday. This will mean that when they are in school, they are totally focused and not distracted by the stresses and strains that we all know social media can bring to the table. As mentioned earlier, the power of sleep. Now, it's funny, the older you get, the more you want to sleep. And right now, a majority of our students are not getting enough sleep. In order to function to the best of their ability, teenagers need roughly between 8 and 10 hours of sleep per night. If we're not getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep per night, you're more likely to have mood swings, you're more likely to have problems remembering things, and you're more likely to become stressed. Now, in order to prevent these things from happening, we need to build up a routine before we go to bed. Things such as having a shower before we go to bed, making sure that we're not on our phones, playing computers or watching the telly at least half an hour before we go to bed, are all things that can help us get at least 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And finally, going to sleep with the curtains open so you're waking up to natural light is very, very beneficial, along with the use of an alarm clock. Now, the final message is how to revise effectively. Now, we strongly suggest at Lambeth Academy that it is quality over quantity. Some students revise for 1, 2, 3, sometimes even 4 hours, but use ineffective methods. What we strongly suggest is using the Lambeth Academy Hour. Now, the Lambeth Academy Hour consists of 3 things. The first 25 minutes is you read over your notes, go over your topic guides, make flashcards, read your answer, cover it, write it, and check it. The second 25 minutes is doing practice questions, past papers, exam questions, and Hegarty maths tasks. And the final 10 minutes is reserved for checking those answers using mark schemes, using model answers, and using teacher feedback. You'll also be very happy to know that we've invested in an external company called the Life Skills Company to come in and teach our students more effective techniques on how to revise in preparation for our November mock exams. Thank you very much for listening to Lambeth Academy's Raising Achievements Evening Part 1, and after half term we will be having Raising Achievements Part 2. Now that will be a live assembly hosted by myself, Mr. Ung and Miss Welch, where you'll be given the opportunity to ask any questions, and we will be talking to you about the predicted grades, about your students' attitude towards learning and homework, and we'll be launching the colour group system. So I very much look forward to seeing you after half term. Now that does bring us to the end of this presentation, and I'd like to thank you very much for tuning in and listening. If you do have any questions that you'd like to ask myself, Mr. Ung, or Miss Welch, then please do not hesitate to contact us on the details provided on this slide. Really do look forward to hearing you and seeing you on Raising the Achievements Evening Part 2. Thank you very much and have a good evening.